Weartesters.
You'll hopefully find out for something, and it sucks. Hey Weartesters, this is Brian back on your screen, so you know what that means. It's time for another performance review. This time it's a shoe that's pretty much been slept on by reviewers, players, NBA, college alike, and I don't really understand it because it's just an update to a model that last year was actually pretty good on the court, and that shoe is the Nike Hyperlive. Now admittedly, this shoe's been out for a long minute. It's kind of been ignored like I said, but there's really no reason for it. Did it perform? Was it up to standards? Only one way you're gonna find out. Stay tuned. Okay, let's get into the Nike Hyperlive. First up is traction against the same pattern as they used last year on, I believe it was called the Hyper Chase, the James Harden shoe that he wore last year after the All-Star break. And looking at this traction, first off, you would assume it would suck. Let me tell you, it does not. The little nodules right here are made up of really hard rubber, and they're really kind of thick. Outdoors, I think you'll be okay playing on these for a while, but they've got grooves cut in them for traction pattern. Now, if those grooves weren't there, I don't know if you'd be sliding everywhere, but you can see they're multi-directional. They cover the whole foot, and really every court I played on, Dusty 24, hard rubber court at my church, I was not moving, not sliding, I was gripping everything perfectly. It didn't collect dust, no wiping necessary. This is just, it's a fantastic traction pattern. I don't know why I keep doubting Nike on some of these traction patterns. I guess the Kobe 11 is the last one that was a storytelling that just really kind of sucked. But these did the job on every court, no worries, no problems. Okay, next up we'll get into the cushioning. And for the cushioning, you've got to get rid of this shoe and bring in the other shoe, because the cushioning element is simply this. It's a polyurethane drop-in midsole. I know we've seen this before. Last year we've seen it in the Kobe series for the last 8, 9, let's see, the 7, the 8, the 9, the 11. So 4 out of the last 5 years. I'm not a big fan of drop-in midsoles. I think they make the shoe stiff. I think they affect the transition greatly. I know a lot of people swear by the Kobe 8 and the Kobe 9, how great it is. I just didn't get it. I didn't like it. My feet didn't like it. However, I do see where there is a benefit to this cushioning setup. It's dense, it's thick, but it provides no feedback. This is a polyurethane. It's not lunar, so it does not have that cush when you step into it. It does not have the comfort factor there. But me being a bigger guy, 5'10", really between 200 and 205, just depends on what day it is, I felt the step in immediately. I felt this impact protection immediately. I just didn't really like it. It has lasted better than the lunar. You can see I've worn these for almost 2 weeks, and there's very little indentation here in the toe area and the heel, where you would think you would get a lot of impact and a lot of forming to the foot. Without this in, I mean, the shoe's just a shell. We've seen this before, like I say, with the Kobe series. That is the cushioning. Everybody knows that. And if you're a fan of drop-in, just remember this is polyurethane. It is a little stiffer. So if you're a lighter guy, it's going to take a little more effort to get this broke in, where you'll get the same amount of impact as you do from a lunar. Now to the materials, I'll skip the cushioning because we've already talked about that, the polyurethane. The upper is made up of basically first generation Hyperfuse, which some people really don't like. They think it looks cheap. Me personally, I was a big fan of the first 2 shoes in the Hyperfuse series. I thought they flexed really well. They fit my foot really well. Durability does come into play, especially in this area. We're going to get some creasing, but they fused over these areas to help a little bit with that. You've got your toe drag area here with an extra layer of fuse over it. You've even got a little bit of a fuse layer here for lateral support on this upper, because the lacing doesn't give you much being on coming across the instep here. And I'm just a big fan of this. I love the mesh. I love the way it feels. I love the way it fits. Again, durability is a factor, but to me, it gets the job done, and I've got no complaints whatsoever. Okay, besides traction on this shoe, fit is really a strong point. I love the way this shoe fits. The asymmetrical lacing system right here just wraps this outside up perfectly. The laces stopping as far back as they do let your toe flex fine through the forefoot here. The heel laces up and locks in great without any kind of extra thick, bulky padding. The tongue is a thicker tongue. It's even got the old Pro Combat looking foam here in the top of it. Cut down any lace pressure. Wide, fat laces that really hold help to keep the pressure off of your foot and hold the tightness when you pull them tight. I know sometimes the round laces will loosen back up and you have to pull on your shoe to get it even tighter. But the fit on this shoe is phenomenal. I loved the fit. I love the way it just wrapped over my foot, and honestly, it really did perform like a soccer boot, which is what it's made to look like with that 1-to-1 fit. I went with a 10.5. It gives me about this much room at the end of the toe. Well, maybe not that much. I got fat thumbs. About a half inch, 3/4 of an inch room at the end of the toe for a little wiggle room there. If you like that really solid 1-to-1, go down a half size and you should be good. Okay, now on support, there's not much support. There's no shank in here. We saw the shoe I had just fold in half. Heel counter, it's an internal heel counter here within this fuse and this mesh, and then you've got a fused layer here on the back on the cap to give you a little bit of extra stability. I do like the way they did this mid-foot wrap right here. This does keep your foot over the footbed, keeps you from sliding off, especially with this extra fused layer here over the mesh. And if you look underneath, you can see the black. It's even a third layer underneath for a little bit of extra added lateral support. Yes, added lateral support. Say that 3 times. But there's no midfoot support other than just what you get from the midsole, which contributes to the stiff feeling that I mentioned and a little bit of a slappy feeling in your transition from your heel to toe. Even wearing these casually, there was a serious clunk, ka-clunk, 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 sound like Herman Munster walking down the hallway until I got the midsole broken in where it would flex properly. Ankle support, it's a low top. You're not going to get any kind of special ankle support out of this, but it does fit great in the heel and the ankle, so you're not going to have any kind of heel slip in this shoe if you lace it tight. If you walk around with them unlaced or like 2 sizes too big, yes, you're going to have a problem, but if you get the proper size, you'll be fine. Lateral support, again, this area took a little bit of a break-in time before the rubber got a little bit softer and a little bit molded. Did cause a little bit of foot pain the first couple of games I wore them, but 4 games into the wear test, and I played 7, 11, 14, 18 games in these, so roughly a fifth of the way through, a sixth of the way through, it broke in perfect. We were good to go. One thing I will mention in the transition is this inside, for some reason, it just felt really, really smooth on crossovers and step backs, lateral movements, and defense. I loved the way this bridge under the arch felt, and you could just turn off the inside of that foot and push off. The whole shoe just went with you any way you wanted it to go. Okay, so that wraps us up for the Nike Hyperlive. Priced at $100 initially on the retail. I know it's dropped to $60 for the black and white colorway on the Finish Line. This colorway was $80 at Academy Sports here in Texas. I don't know how many of those are around the nation, but that's what we have here instead of Sports Authority. Multiple colorways are on sale all over the place because these have been out for a few months. If your lighter guard who favors traction and fit over everything else, this is the shoe for you. If you need that responsive bounce back cushioning, then you might want to look elsewhere unless you have a Zoom insole from, like I say, a LeBron 11 or the Jordan 2012 that you can slide in and get your responsiveness that you're looking for. I myself, again, not a fan of the drop-in midsoles, never have been, but I do like this polyurethane insole in this shoe more than I do the Lunar midsoles in the Kobe series. Again, quick guards, light forwards. This may be a shoe that you definitely want to look for if you favor fit and traction. Up next for me, as far as reviews, who knows? Slow time in the basketball world right now. Running world has slowed down a little bit. I do know I have the Nike Zoom Ascension coming for review on that. Other than that, you'll have to stay tuned.